Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.
And Pennsylvania Bible students W.E. Spill, J.A. Bonnet and George H. Fisher as directors. Rutherford claimed a meeting of the new board on July 17 where the directors passed a resolution expressing hearty approval of the actions of their president and affirming him as the man the Lord has chosen to carry on the work that yet remains to be done. On July 31, he called a meeting of the People's Pulpit Association, a Watchtower Society subsidiary incorporated in New York, to expel Hirsch and Hoskins as directors on the grounds that they were opposing the work of the association. I'd say they were opposing Rutherford. When the resolution failed to gain a majority, Rutherford exercised shareholder proxies provided for the annual meeting in New York the previous January to secure their expulsion. On August 1, the Watchtower Society published a 24-page journal, Harvest Sittings, subtitled The Evil One Again Attempts to Disrupt the Society, in which Rutherford stated his version of the events and explained why he had appointed the new board members. But what had actually happened, viewers, was they weren't in agreement with what Rutherford was doing, and they wanted him out. A month later, the four ousted directors responded with a self-funded rebuttal of Rutherford's statement. The publication, Light After Darkness, contained a letter by Pearson, dated July 26th, in which the vice president declared he was now siding with the old board. Although he believed both sides of the conflict had displayed a measure of wrongs, Pearson had decided Rutherford had been wrong to appoint new directors. See, Rutherford took it upon himself to appoint and change things to suit his agenda. The ousted directors' publication disputed the legality of their expulsion, stating that the clause in the Pennsylvania law prohibiting life memberships on the board had only been recently introduced and was not retroactive, exempting existing corporations from the statute. They also claimed that the Watchtower Society's charter allowed only directors to be elected as officers, and therefore the election of Rutherford, Van Erberg and Pearson as officers was void because none had been directors in January. Their advice from several lawyers, they said, was that Rutherford's course was wholly unlawful. So Rutherford was trying to take over the organisation. He's come up against very severe opposition, and so he's using his powers to try and get rid of his opposers. Lovely, isn't it? The ex-director's publication claimed Rutherford had required all Bethel workers to sign a petition supporting him and condemning the former directors, with the threat of dismissal for any who refused to sign. And this is recorded in this article here. Some workers complained that they had signed under duress. It was claimed that as many as 35 members of the Bethel family were forced to leave for failing to support Russell during his reign of terror. And they're calling Russell's reign of coup or reign of terror because he was trying to take over the society against those that could see a better way for the Watchtower to go. Rutherford denied anyone had been forced out for refusing to sign the letter, despite attempts by Pearson to reconcile the two groups. The former directors left Brooklyn headquarters on August 8. And oh no. What's this? Can we get anything on this? No. Okay. Russell's re-election and aftermath. And let me just say, they've called what's going on here Rutherford's reign of terror. Publications continued through late 1917 with Rutherford on one side and Johnson and the 4 expelled directors on the other, each accusing their opponents of gross misrepresentation and trying to usurp authority. The controversy fractured the harmony of the Bible student movement, and many congregations split into opposing groups loyal to either Rutherford or those he had expelled. Now, they don't tell you this, do they, in this article? They're just saying a new era was begun, but it would not be ushered in by the men involved in that peace conference. In 1919, a new era in the preaching work began when Jehovah energized his people to preach as never before. But first, the Bible students needed a dramatic change. Well, dramatic change? Crikeys. We've got terrorism going on in the organisation. The 4 expelled board members made a final attempt to unseat Rutherford, claiming that although he had the backing of the most powerful shareholders, he lacked the support of the Bible student movement in general. They therefore called for a democratic vote from all the Bible students. Rutherford wrote in October, "I did not seek election to the office of the president, and I'm not seeking re-election. The Lord is able to attend to his own business." But he's saying this on the surface, but underneath he's sacking people and shunning people and all the rest of it to try and hold the position of president over the Watchtower. Then in December 1918, he outmaneuvered his opponents, organising a referendum of all Bible students and Watchtower subscribers a month before the annual Pittsburgh Convention. Although not binding, votes were counted in more than 800 US congregations, giving Rutherford 95% of the vote for president. His opposers ranked 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th on the list of prospective directors, with the highest support given to Rutherford's existing 6 co-directors. On January 5, 1918, Rutherford was returned to office, receiving 194,106 shareholders' votes. Hirsch received 22,198, the highest among the ex-directors, putting him in 10th place. A resolution was promptly passed to request that Hirsch resign from the committee altogether. Rutherford stated at the convention that he was aware he had made many mistakes. By mid-1919, about 1 in 7 Bible students had left rather than accept his leadership, and as many as 75% by 1928, resulting in the formation of various Bible student groups such as the Stand Fast Movement, the Layman's Home Missionary Movement, and the Dawn Bible Students Association, the Pastoral Bible Institute, the Eli Voice Movement, and the Eagle Society. The splitter groups that were independent of the Watchtower Society remained relatively small. In 1931, the group under Rutherford's leadership became known as the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, this didn't happen until 1931. Viewers, the Jehovah's Witnesses were not called Jehovah's Witnesses until 1931. A later Watchtower described the outcome of the 1917 leadership coup as the removal of a class of insubordinate ones who rebelled against the ways of the Lord before Christ's inspection and approval of the faithful and discreet slave class in 1918. So this is all where the thing went into corruption because of the coup of Judd Rutherford. Let's carry on, shall we?
A difficult decision. The annual election of directors of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society was scheduled for Saturday, January 4th, 1919. At the time, Joseph F. Rutherford, who was taking the lead among Jehovah's people, had been unjustly imprisoned in Atlanta, Georgia, USA.
Now they're getting off track here. They've got the article now going in a sympathetic way towards Rutherford. They've mentioned nothing about the coup that we just read about. Now, we need to find out why Rutherford was arrested. And for anybody that has doubts about the authenticity of the letter that we just read, here's all the places you can find the information. Okay. Watchtower publications since 1917 have continued to denounce those who oppose Rutherford. In this account of the events of 1917, the Society's 1993 history book, Jehovah Witnesses, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom, refers to the opposing camps as those loyal to the Society and those who were easy prey to the smooth talk of the opposers, etc., etc. But here's all the information to validify and authenticise what our article in Wikipedia says. Watchtower Society Presidency coup. I call it a coup. Now this is wonderful. I've found a document by Barbara Anderson from Watchtower Documents, so I suggest you take close notice of this. And she talks about the FBI wanted JW leader Joseph Rutherford arrested. In a memorandum dated March 28, 1941, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation strongly suggested that Joseph F. Rutherford, the then president of the Watchtower Society, be closely monitored and potentially arrested in the event of a national emergency. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, was very aware of Rutherford's political positions during the late 1930s and 1940s. He knew that Rutherford's decreed that Jehovah Witnesses should not support any war preparation efforts, not salute the flag of any country, and to avoid military service of any kind under threat of arrest or imprisonment or death. Hoover's memo makes it clear that Judge Rutherford had been monitored for some time by the United States government because of his fanatical religious beliefs. In fact, he mentions that a dossier on Rutherford was being sent along with the memo. It was likely that Rutherford's praise of Adolf Hitler and the leaders of other fascist countries during the late 1930s created some red flags within the FBI and other government agencies. This guy was a fanatic. It was also significant that Rutherford and other Watchtower officials had been arrested, convicted and imprisoned for a short time in 1918 and 19 for taking anti-government positions during World War I. While the Watchtower leaders' convictions were overturned and they were eventually released from prison in 1919, Rutherford now this is what they're talking about here. Now let's just hold for a minute. Scheduled for Saturday, January 4th, 1919. At the time, Joseph F. Rutherford, who was taking the lead among Jehovah's people by a coup, had been unjustly imprisoned in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, along with 7 others. Now, he was imprisoned because they were worried about his positions in opposing standard government processes during the World War I. In Atlanta, Georgia, USA, along with 7 others. The question was, should the imprisoned brothers who were officials be re-elected or should they be replaced? Gosh, well, I don't think the FBI was all worried about that. They were imprisoned for taking anti-government positions during World War I. That's why they were imprisoned. Now, the Watchtower's not going to tell you that, but they took anti-government positions during World War I. While the Watchtower leaders' convictions were overturned and they eventually were released from prison in 1919, Rutherford continued to preach loud and often against the political systems of the world and their armies. He often accused various governments, that's fanaticism, viewers, of being in league with and led by Satan the devil. Now that doesn't mean it's right. And wars were clear evidence that his position was...
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.